And joining me today is Dominic Hackenberg.
Yep.
Is there anything here? Wait a minute. Can I see your ID? Oh.
I mean, I'll be honest on here. I got into freshman year when COVID started, online school. So freshman and sophomore year, I had some pretty great grades. You know, I always saw like the big meatheads, and honestly, I never wanted to be a meathead. Times change though. You know, in middle school when you're going to pool parties, you probably know what I'm about to say. You look up like a 10-minute ab exercise to get abs to impress the girls, you know?
A pool pump.
Yeah, I don't believe in working that job you hate for your whole life. I don't believe in that.
Do you have any regrets in life? All right. Oh my gosh. We got limp Mike.
I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. I just felt like I was failing everything and just doing terrible. I didn't like, why am I even on this earth? All right.
Welcome to the Barbells and Bourbon podcast. I am your big, bald, bearded, barbell lifting, bourbon drinking son of a bitch, Shaun. And joining me today is Dominic Hackenberg.
Yep.
I've been practicing that accent for the last hour.
Yeah.
Are you in the mob, Dominic Hackenberg?
No, that would be pretty cool, but no.
That would be. You would be so like under the radar. I wouldn't even think twice. Could be a side gig for you. Where are you from, Dom? Do you mind if I call you Dom?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Dom's
I didn't
cool. Yeah.
want to assume. Where are you from, man?
I'm from Pittsburgh, PA.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How far away are you from here? How long did it take you to get here?
About 30 minutes.
Okay.
I live in Penn Trafford, so pretty close.
So that's the county next door
Yeah.
to Allegheny, which is where I'm at.
Yep.
You must be thirsty.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
half an hour, that's a long ride. First, welcome to our home.
Thank you.
I like to welcome all the guests that come here. It means a lot for me to have you here.
Yeah.
Is there anything here? Wait a minute. Can I see your ID? Oh, all right. So no bourbon for you.
Unfortunately.
Is there anything else here that looks interesting?
I'm seeing some Project One supplements.
Yeah. So the fine folks at Project One Nutrition were nice enough to send me some supplements. There were two reasons that I wanted to have something other than bourbon on the show. One, for those who are underage, and two, for those who just don't care to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
Bourbon drinking is not a requirement on this podcast.
Yeah.
So I want to give an option for those who don't want to drink. And you're underage.
I'm 20, so right there, but
Are you close to 21?
I'll be 21 next January. So
Okay, so you
about a
just
year.
turned
Yeah, a little less
20.
than a year, but
Yeah, you got plenty of time. So, is there a supplement here from Project One that interests you? I have Amino Evolution, I have Embrax, and Amp Nox.
if I was going to the gym, I would definitely do Amp Nox and Ambrax. It's my stack, but since it's 6 o'clock here, I'm going to go with aminos.
You don't want to be
wanna
all
be-
revved up.
Yeah, and that's the new flavor too. Amazing flavor. So
Yeah, I have the blue raspberry here. So again, thank you, Project One. If anybody's interested in any supplements, I'll throw up Dom's discount code
10% off.
on the screen.
Yeah.
You a one scoop kind of guy?
Yeah.
You don't dry scoop this?
No, just water. I've never been a big dry scooping guy.
You'd be calling 911 if you tried to dry scoop that scoop.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you know about Amino Evolution, Dom?
I know it's great for hydration, and it has BCAAs and your EAs in it, so you get it all in one.
So good for recovery from a workout, good for hydration.
And sometimes you just don't want to take pre-workout when you go to the gym. I mean,
yeah.
if you're going to a late night, aminos are the way to go.
Yep. And some people are very caffeine sensitive. So
Yeah, see, I like caffeine.
I do too.
But I'm not a Quantum X type of guy because then I won't sleep the whole night, but 200 milligrams is like good for me.
I'm making a mess over here. This is the first time I've had to do this on the episode. So,
And I do want to say, I don't know if you know this, but the reason why it's white, not blue, is because they don't put any artificial coloring in.
nice.
The only one they do have it in is cherry, but you know that's to get the cherry look in it. But
Yeah.
I know I asked them. Forget if it was Keith. I think I asked Keith, and I'm like, "Why is it white?" You know, I thought it'd be blue, but but yeah.
All right, there, we're good.
So maybe you're saving some years off your life here without the artificial coloring.
Hey, man, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Well, cheers, man.
Cheers.
We'll pretend this is bourbon. Ooh, it's very good. And I made such a mess, but we're not going to worry about that right now. So Dom, I know you a little bit. I don't know much about you.
Yeah.
You're the youngest guest that I've had so far,
Yeah.
which is interesting in itself. Your generation is a completely different generation
Yes, it
than
is,
I grew
yes.
up in. So I'm actually really interested to hear about your take on life and your view on life.
And that's why I wanted to come on, because I feel like I feel like Gen Z gets so much hate. That's, you know, my generation. And honestly, I don't understand why. You know, I feel like we might be that generation that can fix a lot of things that's wrong with the world. But
yeah,
I don't know why they get so much hate. And, you know, what's the generation before Gen Z?
X.
Gen X.
Yeah, I think.
I just like, yeah, I don't know. They just hate on us for whatever reason. But
Well,
yeah,
we're counting on you guys
yeah.
to save the world or to fix the world. No pressure.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at I've always been big into history. If you look into all the eras, none of them have been perfect.
Oh my gosh, no.
No. 70s issues, 80s issues, 90s issues,
No
early
matter,
2000s.
there's always different forms of issues, no matter what, and that's
Yeah,
inevitable. But you also don't have to repeat the past either, so you do have a chance
Exactly.
to change the future. But anyway, excited to have you because of your age, different outlook on life.
Yeah.
I'm excited to have you because I don't know a lot about you. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm real excited to learn about you and you know your past, your present, and kind of like where you think you might be in the future.
Yeah.
So if you could sort of take me back as far as you want into your childhood and just kind of explain how you grew up and where you grew up and just start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've always grown up in PT. PT's always been my life. And I recently, obviously, just graduated last year, which was very nice. I was really done with school, but yeah, my childhood and elementary school years, they were pretty awesome. You know, I've always been a big sports guy. Elementary school, it was basketball was a big part of my life. And, you know, only being on my license and says I'm 5'7". I don't know about that, but only being 5'7", you can't go too far in basketball. Right. And it's started not to be my thing. And yeah, but I mean, yeah, my elementary school years were amazing. I mean, I remember when my dad would come home from work and I would be outside playing basketball. Like, I always looked forward to that every day. It was one thing I always looked forward to because it was, you know, you go to school and then you don't really see your parents, but yeah. And yeah. So.
Good. So were you always athletic as a kid, or was like basketball like your real sport, or did you play other sports?
I played a little bit of soccer. You know, I feel like everyone gets thrown into soccer.
Yeah, especially in this area. Soccer is very popular in this area. Yeah.
But basketball was first, and then lacrosse came into fourth and fifth grade, and I loved lacrosse. And if I would have sticked with it, and especially because of like what bodybuilding would have helped me, like getting bigger, I was so scrawny back then. You know, the hits, and I love that sport. That's one sport I wish I kind of would have stayed with, but
so that was sort of like not quite playing football, but it was still a very physical, somewhat contact sport.
And I feel like lacrosse was the first sport that taught me like basically to train to failure, like give it all your all. Because I remember I think it was 5th grade. We had a coach who his name was Jesse. And, you know, back then we weren't a big fan because he would make us run like an insane amount of sprints with all of our equipment on. And, you know, we were only in elementary school and we would run up and down those. I'm happy he did that for us. You know, I am, because when the later years came on with bodybuilding,
all that discipline and the hard work paid off because, you know, it puts things in perspective, and it maybe didn't seem as hard as it would have. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's very, the dedication was there for sure.
Good. So you talked about playing basketball and coming home and, you know, playing basketball with your dad.
Yeah.
Were your parents strict? Were they sort of, you know, they trusted you? How did that kind of?
They've always been very trusting me a lot with stuff. The earlier years, maybe they were a little bit more strict with homework and stuff. But again, I've always hated school. So it was always one of those things I just hated doing. So
were you struggling through school? Like, did you have to try really hard to get average grades?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was. And then it's funny because my sister is the exact opposite. You know, she's always been that perfect A student. Maybe now she's struggling a little bit more because she's a sophomore in high school with chemistry and all that. But
yeah,
compared to me,
I've had other guests with very similar stories about them having to try really hard just to be average.
Yeah, it
and then they have
sucks.
siblings who they didn't have to study or do homework or anything, and it just came easy.
Yeah.
It's just interesting how everybody has different abilities, and it's not your fault. But I couldn't freaking remember anything I read.
Yeah.
I went to vocabulary and reading comprehension, like secondary classes, because I sucked at reading and remembering.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone has their struggle.
Yeah.
So you got through elementary school. How was high school for you?
Amazing.
Yeah.
High school was probably my favorite just because I found an amazing friend group in high school. And, you know, even middle school, I was kind of cool with everyone. Even elementary, I was cool with everyone, but like I never had like a specific friend group. Middle school definitely started in high school. And yeah, I mean, we all have each other's backs, and yeah. Yeah.
So
it's pretty amazing.
did you find lifelong friends in high school?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my sweet group for senior year, I would call them like my best friends. I mean, we just, even that trip, man, we went through some
had
things.
A good time?
We had good times, some crazy times, and yeah, I mean, those guys, yeah, they're awesome.
Good. Yeah. Now I know you said you struggled to get good grades in elementary school. Did that transition in high school too?
Yeah, man, it was every year. Like elementary wasn't bad. Elementary was
I
pretty
guess
basic stuff.
ABCs 1, 2, 3s.
End of middle school definitely start to get more tough, and then high school. I mean, I'll be honest on here. I got into freshman year when COVID started, online school. So freshman and sophomore year, I had some pretty great grades. Hey, I mean, it's the honest truth. And then junior year was definitely tough. I've never been a math. I've always been an English and history guy. Math's never been my thing. I hate math. And it's funny. I'm also not a great science guy, but I put in the work for science because, well, we'll get into later in the podcast. We'll get into it later,
Okay.
you know, with the science.
Okay.
But I had an amazing 11th grade teacher, Mr. Edgerly. He was a history teacher. I had him junior and senior for honors 11th, and then reel to reel and American conflict. That guy, man, he topped any teacher I've ever had. He just loved his job. He was so passionate, and I think he's one of the key factors of like what I'm chasing. You know?
Yeah, it's cool to hear that you had a teacher that really stood out to you. And I think that's probably one of the joys of teaching. I'm not a teacher, but I can only imagine, you know, having a student that you had in the past talking so highly of them and knowing that you made an impact on them.
I stay in contact with him after high school. I still am. And even in high school, he was always that guy. He was always that teacher that like, he was more than a teacher.
Yeah, he was kind of like a friend.
Yeah, like, you know, Boy Meets World. Who's the teacher there? You know who I'm talking about, Mr.
Yeah, I don't know the show enough to remember that name.
I've never watched it, but I just think of him. He was very important to all those people in the show's lives because he was more than a teacher to them. You know, I know people who struggled during high school that he would, you know, he has a life, and outside of high school, like outside of schooling, he would help them. You know, and it showed the kind of guy he is.
Yeah. I think it's interesting how the relationships that teachers have with their students has changed a lot over the last few decades.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like I know when I was in elementary school and high school, you know, your teachers would be like your buddies. You know, you could kind of like joke around with them and, you know, kind of say almost anything back and forth.
High school was definitely more like that.
Yeah. But now teachers have to be really careful how close they get with their students and even the things that they say to their students, because everything's just so closely monitored and society's become a little soft.
Yeah.
So you got through COVID.
Yep.
Online schooling, you got really good grades when you weren't actually in school.
Yeah.
So what happened when you went back?
Grades actually didn't change that much because by that point in high school, you get to pick what you want to take. And again, I was always very passionate about history, and I've always liked writing. So I was very heavy on those things. So end of high school, I did really good. I mean, senior year anatomy, kicked my butt, but I'm so glad I took it. So glad, because I had to take it freshman year of college, and I retained so much information, and yeah, it really worked out.
It was a good transition. A lot of the same course material and stuff.
Definitely.
Awesome.
And I feel like it also had me on track for college, because senior year, a lot of people take the easiest classes, take all study halls, and then they get to college and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Reality check.
Yeah.
Now it's time to do some work, and they're not used to putting in that work. So, you know, science sounds like it's been your thing. You excelled in anatomy. You enjoyed it. You graduate high school. What happens next?
I ended up going to WVU, and I knew I wanted to go to WVU since like sophomore year. Like my dad and his family are from West Virginia, big Mountaineer fans growing up. And growing up, I was actually a Pitt fan, and I don't know what changed.
That doesn't mesh.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. I think I just wanted to be like the Pittsburgh people, because everyone loved Pitt, and then once the years went on, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
all right, so you're at WVU freshman year. What's it like?
It's amazing. You know, again, wanting to go to WVU since sophomore year, all I thought about in high school was WVU, and it was a great experience. It was awesome.
Did you stay on campus?
I did stay on campus.
So you got the true college experience.
Yes. I stayed in Oakland, which is a little bit, it's not downtown. WVU's huge. And there's downtown Oakland. There's Evansdale. I was on Evansdale, and then there's downtown campus. Evansdale, I was lucky because all my science classes were just there, which was awesome because I didn't have to commute. But
nice.
Yeah, welcome week was an experience, let me tell you. It was, but I also like coming from being so much into lifting in high school, kind of started wasn't really my thing, the party scene. Like I definitely partied a lot when I was there, but it wasn't like an absurd amount like some of these frat dudes or
Yeah.
Okay,
so even though you were a freshman, you were very young in college, you still were focused on your health and nutrition.
Oh, definitely.
And that was always in the back of your head, even though you were immersed into this it's a huge college.
Oh, huge, yeah.
Has a reputation for being a party school, but you still kind of held true to what your goals were, which is really admirable.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I should probably bring this up, is that how you and me met is because of bodybuilding. I got into bodybuilding, maybe not necessarily bodybuilding, because there's a difference between just lifting for fun and bodybuilding, but freshman year during COVID, there's nothing to do. There's nothing to do. Yeah. So I would literally lift 2 times a day, which back then I didn't realize how bad that could be for you. Not smart. But that's all. And I started to love it. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, 100% truthful. I started getting into lifting because, you know, it's to impress the girls because, you know, I didn't want to be scrawny. I mean, I was a cross-country track kid from 7th grade to 9th grade. And then it kind of I wanted to become a sprinter. So you need to like weight train, become faster.
Yeah, more powerful.
But I got injured right before COVID happened. I'd messed up my hamstring and my calf. So I couldn't run anymore. So all I was doing was pretty much healing myself and then getting into lifting. So once it comes back next year, but track season wouldn't come back for, a little bit. But I also realized that year during COVID, I love lifting. I love my dad. He was always big into lifting. He taught me about a lot of nutrition during COVID. And I remember during COVID, I would eat, the bodybuilding meal, chicken, rice, and spinach. I didn't realize back then that it wasn't doing anything for me. I was maybe being healthy, wasn't gaining weight. I had like 4 little chickens, like chicken breasts, and I'm like thinking this is a lot of chicken.
Yeah. So it's interesting you say all this because you telling me that story right there just like sparked all kinds of things in my head. Yeah. First of all, you ran cross country and track. Those are like the worst possible sports that you can do to gain weight. Right? You're burning so many calories.
But back then, I wasn't really big into lifting. I always admired my dad for lifting, and I always saw like the big meatheads, and honestly, I never wanted to be a meathead. Times change, though.
Oh, how they do change. And then you also mentioned that you wanted to impress the girls, right? And
anybody wants to in high school.
And then you said, you were eating what you thought you should be eating to put on weight. When in retrospect, for someone who's a hard gainer, you can't exactly eat clean to gain weight. No. So,
and I remember back then, I would have that one good meal, and then of course I'm still so young at this point that like I want Oreos, and then I would have a sleeve of Oreos, and I'd feel terrible about myself. And I wish back then I would have realized it's okay. You're not competing, way from it, a long time away, and that, you're just, honestly, I wish I kind of would have, I didn't know, kind of dirty bulked, ate a lot of food during that time because I could have and not gained weight.
So you took it to the extreme really early. Like you knew.
I've always been that type of person.
Yeah, you did a lot of research. You knew what it took to be a bodybuilder. And yeah, it takes clean eating, a lot of clean foods multiple times a day. But that wasn't really right for what your goals were because you were a hard gainer. You weren't really trying to compete. You were just trying to put on some weight and muscle.
Back then.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about it. And I was acting like I was about to compete. But I remember, I think a lot of guys have this story, in middle school when you're going to pool parties, you probably know what I'm about to say. You look up like a 10-minute ab exercise to get abs to impress the girls,
Get a pull pump.
Yeah. Did nothing. Freshman year, I tried that, did nothing. I didn't get visible abs till senior year. And that took a lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that, your dad lifted and you always admired that. Was there anything else in particular that really drew you to bodybuilding?
Again, I think it's just like when I was young, I was in elementary school, I would have to read books for classes and stuff. And I liked reading books in elementary school. It wasn't like, it was like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and stuff. But my dad would be downstairs working out, and I would go in there, pick up a 5-pound dumbbell, curl it, nothing there, all bone.
Right.
But it was funny how life works out, it is. And I think also when the years went on, I would see I think the guy who got me into bodybuilding, honestly, was I think a lot of people, again, have the stories, Arnold, Frank Zane. They have the most perfect physiques in the world.
They're very aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, again, at that time period, I didn't know what it takes to get there, but
yeah. So when did bodybuilding become a true passion of yours? How old were you?
I'm going to go with sophomore year. Again, the whole bodybuilding, getting really strict with it wasn't until senior year, which I will get into. But sophomore year, it was it was an amazing year because, again, with COVID, we were at home. And during sophomore year, I actually gained a good amount of weight because I learned how to truly bulk. And me and my friends, Sam, I'm Sam Townsend, Aiden Pula, we would go to the gym every day, and it was amazing. It was the most fun. We just had fun with it, And that's actually when I met you, was sophomore year. We did, I think we did back day, because I remember before I met you, I couldn't feel my lats. I couldn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And it was after that back workout, I'm like, wow, I love training back now because I can feel everything.
So Sam, your friend
Townsend,
he had been working with me a little bit. I'd been training him off and on. And, I remember he asked me, do you mind if I bring my friend Dom with me to my next session? I'm like, yeah, sure. No.
I was so happy you said yes. And I honestly, Arnold, Frank Zane, they were cool, obviously, but you were the one that got me into bodybuilding.
Really?
Because, I mean, obviously, you're pretty big, and you come from a bodybuilding background, and it was like when we would lift together, because we did back, legs, arms.
You shook your head at legs. I get it.
Arms, and we did shoulders. Yes, we did almost everything. And I just loved it. And I'm like, that's bodybuilding.
Yeah.
You pushed us to the limits. And, surprisingly, I know legs is always a hard one, but it wasn't even our leg workout that killed me the most. It was our arm day. I remember I was kind of sick, recovering. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, the leg day killed me, but yeah, surprising arms.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, when I trained you, I do remember, even though this was years ago, I still pretty vividly remember the sessions.
Yeah.
And it seemed like you were getting frustrated easily, which I understand because a lot of the clients I train, they're used to doing a certain amount of weight, a certain way, their own way, a certain amount of reps. But once you're pushed a little further, I think it's kind of discouraging sometimes because you're like, oh, I used to be able to do this much weight on this exercise, but with you, I can only. It's like, yeah.
And at that time, I didn't know that. That's what sucks. Yeah, but
what's led to this point? You're dead by, like.
After every session, I'm like, I can't move my arms, like, and I think I would get frustrated. Not like I was mad at you or anything. I was so passionate about it that I was just like, I want to become amazing at this. So it takes, that's why I would come to the lifts because I wanted to learn. That's all I'm about is just learning, supplements, everything.
Yeah. So it didn't discourage you and scare you away from it.
No.
It actually inspired you and drew you towards it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So, you got serious sophomore year. You worked out with me a little bit, with some other friends. What is your long-term bodybuilding goal? And how do you think you're going to get there?
So I worked, when bodybuilding got really serious for me was senior year. I started working with a coach, Brian Bortz, amazing guy. He's like an older brother to me. He just taught me so much with business. We talked business, relationships, lifting. Like he just was that older brother to me and still is. But those lifts were crazy. I did a leg workout with him and I was sore for the next 5 days. And all my friends were giving me so much crap for it, except Sam, because he's trained with you before. And I mean, that leg workout I did with Brian, it was just another level. And that's what the level you got to go to if you want to become great at this sport.
Yeah. I've heard good things about Brian. I know some friends that have worked with him and I hear good things.
But your question about my end goal, I do plan on staying natural for life. I have nothing against people who are on steroids. I know a bunch of people who are, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's a part of the sport.
It is.
It is. Yeah. But with health problems in my family, I just want to stay away from it. So honestly, my goal is to make it to. There's the Ben Weider Natural Pro, and I believe if you turn pro at that show, you have a one-way ticket to the Olympia.
The Natural Olympia.
No, like the Olympia.
Wow.
Which is I learned this because I watched the Hani Rambod and Tyler Mannion podcast for Hani Rambod, and he said this, and I'm like, I'm at the gym doing cardio. I'm like, what? You can get to the Olympia natural? I mean, again, it's a goal.
Sure.
Am I gonna be able to do it? I don't know. I've never even competed, but the plan with competing is 2025. I don't know. You probably have heard of this. Natural Ohio. Northwesterns, I believe, Easterns, something like that.
Yeah, I think Northeasterns. What class? What division?
I'm stuck. There's nothing wrong with guys who do physique. There's nothing wrong with it because honestly, to build huge legs, you got to go to another. You gotta become crazy.
Well, a lot of
basically.
physique guys have massive legs.
Oh,
now.
that's another thing.
It's
yes.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even though you're wearing board shorts, they got some quads.
And that's another thing is that I don't know if you saw Tyler Mannion came on and talked about how the physique guys, you got to show more legs now. I mean, you probably remember, I wasn't around, but like Jeremy Bondia, when he first started, Sadiq, those things were like all the way down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the board shorts, they're shorter now. You have to show some lower quad at least.
Some teardrop, yeah. So that's what kind of makes me, it's either going to be physique, men's physique, or classic. I love classic. It's classic. It's the Frank Zane look, but men's physique, again, to build massive legs, you got to have a crazy mindset, which lately I've become a lot more crazier at the gym. Like you just got to go all in. So yeah, I mean, but the show, my first show, I can do any shows really. You can do both divisions if you want to.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you can do crossovers. Yep.
And if I would ever make it to the Ben Weider, it'd probably be with men's physique because again, there's natural guys that look natural, so.
Well, even the weight class limits are going up.
Yeah. So, and I'm a hard gainer, like we talked about. I'm like, yeah. So it takes a lot for me to gain weight.
Do you feel like you're doing everything it takes right now to get to that level?
Yes. Again, I worked with Brian and I actually left him a couple months back just because my life was crazy. I had so much going on. My head wasn't right. And so I do plan on finding another coach, maybe Brian, maybe another coach for that show, but I don't want to get a coach until months out from the show when I'm ready. But what was your question again?
I said, do you think you're doing what it takes to compete at that level?
Yes.
As you sit here today.
Like my gym sessions, and I love everything about bodybuilding, cardio, weightlifting, the food. And yeah, you gotta eat big to get big. I mean, it's that common thing you hear, but it's true. I mean, it takes crazy stuff to do, but.
So I heard you say that you don't want to get a coach until, a couple months out before the show. If I were to suggest something, off-season coaching is very important too.
Yeah, that's why I had Brian.
Yeah. So it's sometimes it's just nice to have someone looking over your back,
and they'll know my body when
it comes time to prep.
Yes.
They're going to know how your body responds a lot better. So just food for thought. Don't
definitely. I'm more meant like because I know you got to prep obviously, and that's what 3 months, 4 months.
It depends. Depends how much body fat you
That's
have
what
to
I'm
lose.
saying. So realistically, hopefully a year out from the show, which that show would be March
25.
October.
Okay.
So this upcoming October, then it would be a year out.
Yeah. I mean, you have time, but the sooner that you start to adopt the habits that you're going to need to do, prep is so much easier. Off season, honestly, off season and prep are exactly the same thing. It's just the quantities of things are different.
Yes.
And the workouts are structured a little bit different. It's the same discipline.
Yeah.
It really is. People think off season means you can just eat whatever the hell you want and, just be an asshole. But that's not the case, especially if you want to compete at that level. You have to treat off season like prep.
When I decided to leave Brian, I still eat the exact same when I did with him. I eat 6 meals a day, cardio, everything's the same. It's just, I was going. So I think something I should bring up is that I left WVU.
So you never graduated?
No, I made one semester. I remember it was November. Me, my good friend Gianni and Joey here from WVU, great guys, and my friend Aiden Pula, who's also been friends with him forever. Us four were gonna have an apartment next year in downtown, and this apartment would have been awesome. Living with some of your best friends, and there's a stove, so I could have cooked all my meals. I was so excited, and the next week, something hit me that I'm like, this isn't for me anymore. Like, I'm going to college here, and I'm not going to use this degree. I was going for coaching performance science, basically exercise science, because my goal was to become a coach like you. Well, the thing is that no, like I would have been in $150K in debt, and I could have started online coaching after those 4 years and completely failed and still have that $150K to my name.
Interesting.
So, and then luckily, I really have to thank, and I really do believe the Lord guided me this way, is that during when I was, and still I go to Adam Blumen for deep tissue work. Deep tissue work is essential for bodybuilding, I feel like, because some people don't do it and then they're like, well, I have no mobility. There's a reason behind that. And I went to Adam. It was actually Dougie IFBB Pro. I was at CBC Fitness junior year summer. Hardcore gym. Love that gym. I met him there for the first time. And I'm like, just being a young guy, I'm like, Dougie, when I'm doing shoulder press, my lats are taking over. They hurt. And he's just like, tissue work.
Yeah.
So I met Adam for the first time, and I never would have known. I actually did my senior project on deep tissue work, massage, cupping, all that stuff. And I remember telling the class, like, this is not what I'm going for, though. Things change.
Yeah.
Again, it was like Thanksgiving break. I'm like struggling. I'm like, what do I do? And I'm like, I've always been inspired by Adam. Every time I went to his sessions, he was just like, your left lat is upward, all the scientific stuff. And I'm like, I told him, I would tell Adam this. I'm like, dude, this is so interesting. Mm-hmm. And I look forward every time going because, most people who get deep tissue work, it hurts terribly.
It brings you to tears.
Yeah, it's
I've
really
seen
bad.
Adam. Adam's coming on the podcast.
Oh, amazing.
Dougie's coming on the podcast.
Amazing.
So yeah, it's not fun. It's not a massage like you're gonna get at a spa.
And that's what so many. I think my friends just give me crap because they're my friends. They're like, give me crap about the whole massage thing. They're like, they don't realize, like it's also called sports massage. It hurts so bad. I mean.
Yeah, you don't leave
No.
feeling refreshed.
No. I will say the next 2 days, when you're in the gym and Adam worked on my chest,
You can move
you can feel all
in
the
ways
fibers.
that you can't move before. It's
Yes.
crazy.
And I got to the point, I'm like, why not go for this? Is there a way to do this? And I literally just searched. I remember I was at my girlfriend's house and I'm like, deep tissue massage school was near me. That was it.
Yeah.
And I found Pittsburgh School of Massage Therapy, which I will be starting April 2nd. So excited about. It's 1 year. It's a little less than a year, but because it breaks, it's 1 year.
Good for you, man.
It's much cheaper.
Yeah.
I won't be my 20s with a lot of debt. Barely any debt at all. Because that one semester, but compared to what college kids comes out with these days. And that's why I feel like, we were talking about Gen Z and stuff, is that all Gen Z guys, everyone in Generation Z complains about can't afford a home, can't afford this, can't afford that. They set you up to fail. Mm-hmm. Some people go to school, good Lord, they go for 8, 10 years, and they leave and they're $200K in debt, $300K in debt. A lot of high school kids, college kids, do not realize how bad debt can be for you.
Yeah.
Because everyone just thinks like, I'm going to pay it off.
Yeah. I'm going to get a degree and I'm going to make 6 figures.
I hear it all the time. Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. Maybe some doctors, engineers, and those people should go to college, obviously. But if you want to if there's ways to work around college, I would recommend that.
Yeah. I have a bachelor's degree from Penn State, so I can't talk crap on college degrees because it did me very well.
Yeah.
It's an engineering degree.
Exactly.
Engineering is a very broad field. It opens a lot of doors just by having an engineering degree.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I went to a community campus, a local campus. It's not quite as expensive. I didn't stay on campus.
Exactly.
It's not as expensive.
Exactly.
So I did the financially frugal way
Yes,
to get
yes.
through college. But yeah, some of those large universities are
It's
50
absurd.
grand a year.
Absurd. Absolutely.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. And college is great if that's what you want to do. There's certain degrees that can get you an amazing career. But yeah, there's trade schools, there's other schools which are amazing and very high success rate for getting a job. But
and I feel bad for a lot of people because it's just like it's like your plan in life. It's like you're supposed to graduate high school, get a degree, get married. It's like the steps in life. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people become more successful when they don't follow that. You create your own way.
Yeah.
Because again, for the people who leave school or don't go to school and they're in no debt, they have a lot of wiggle room to work around with.
Yeah, I think you bring up a very valid point that you need to find what's right for you.
Which is hard. It is.
It is. And there's no cookie cutter approach to getting through life. And just because what you see in the magazines and on movies and the white picket fence and blah, 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 that's not reality all the time. Again,
like in the 50s and the 40s, that was the goal in life was that. And now, I mean, there's what just came out recently, goggles, Apple goggles. Like we are going to live in our world is all technology. It's very different than what it used to be.
Dude, some of the most wealthy people on the planet are on YouTube, are playing video games for a living.
Yes.
They are not sitting at a desk for 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like that's another big thing about my generation is that I feel like a lot of people are working around trying not to work that life, that 9 to 5, which again, I feel like some people can work a 9 to 5 and they love what they do. And there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. It is an amazing way. But I just feel like some people are they're entrepreneurs. But people don't realize entrepreneurs, they put in way more work than a 9 to 5 guy.
And there's no guarantees because you're on your own as an entrepreneur. You make your success. Yes. There's no backup plan. So a lot of pressure there.
And I think I should bring this up, how I, met Project One guys and how I became a part of that, because those guys, they inspire me so much, all of them. And I was friends with Emma Sandor, still am, really good friend. She started posting Project One stuff, and again, me being a meathead bodybuilder, I'm like, what is this?
New supplements.
And you started posting it, and I'm like, okay, what is this about? So I DM Emma, and you know that's the biggest thing. You got to take a risk. You do. And I DM'd Emma, and I'm like, Emma, what's this about? And she's like, oh, my dad is a co-owner with the company. And I'm like, how can I become a part
Get me
of this?
in. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I got Keith, her dad's information, and it was amazing from the start. I went to one of the very few first demos with Keith and his daughter, Kira, I believe. And when I was there, I'm like, oh my God, I am 19 years old. I was a senior in high school, 19 years old, and I'm a part of something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
And at the start, it was rough. I won't lie. It was hard because again, I've always been into supplements, but I never knew all the ingredients, so I had to learn a lot of that stuff. But now, heck, a little over a year now, I'm when I go to these demos, I'm basically now in charge of calling the gyms, setting up the demos, going to the demos, and I love it.
Good for you, man.
And I love sales. My last demo I went to, it was the best demo, one of the best demos I had with sales, because I'm just so, when I talk about their supplements, I'm so passionate about it because I actually stand behind the supplements.
Right.
So many people, not trying to be rude, they work with a supplement company just for the money.
Sure.
And they don't actually stand behind their supplements. I stand behind these guys. I know them personally. The Williams family, Sandor, Greg.
Pat's coming on.
And they really love what they do. Yeah. And it inspires the heck out of me.
Yeah. I'm also part of the Project One squad. I'm an elite squad member. And I came from another big local supplement company before that. But yeah, you're right. Project One Nutrition is just different. They're very family oriented.
Oh,
You feel like you're literally part of a family when you're working with them, and their mission is very clear. You know, they want to provide the best possible thing on the market.
Yes. And that's why I stand behind them. Everything tastes so good. It's amazing.
Yeah. So you're already kind of like in the bodybuilding scene. You know, you're doing a lot of work with Project One Nutrition, and you're doing the demos and the pop-ups, and that's sort of where your passion lies.
Oh yeah. I feel like it's the greatest opportunity I was ever given.
Good.
Like those guys really trust me, and I'm just so grateful for them. You know, I don't know where my future lies, you know, but I would definitely like to, any way I can, help them with anything. Like, again, I'm 20 years old and I'm working with a freaking supplement company. Yeah. And my whole life I've gotten crap because I've always been like this. I've always been a risk taker, you know, reaching out to people because so many people just live their life and they don't take risk. And
they're either afraid or they're doubting themselves.
Like, if I would have never texted Emma that day or never gotten Keith's number, it would have been, who knows where I would have been right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you think you'd be doing, or where do you think you'd be working right now if you weren't with Project One?
Dude, I would probably just...
Because you're a college dropout.
It's the truth.
So you're a college dropout. You would be unemployed college dropout. You know, you're going to school in the near future here. But thank God that you found Project One, because it sort of
I also do work at Panera, but I hope that's not much longer. If anyone's listening to this from Panera, I love you all, but come on, man. Like, I'm passionate about that stuff. I'm passionate about the human body. I want to have, you know, and that's what I said about the guys there inspire me so much. At Greg, multiple sources of income. Zach, Pat, Brandon, Keith, they all like own multiple businesses, and even you do multiple things. It's just like, and that's what people complain about. They can't make a lot of money, or you can find a way. You need to put the work in and go after it.
In this day and age, it is very difficult to survive on a single income,
100%.
Typical income. Everything is extremely expensive. Food, mortgage, car payments, insurance, cell phones, cable, Netflix. Like, you almost have to have multiple jobs these days, especially if you have a family.
Yeah. I give so much credit to my parents. They have given me a beautiful life. You know, they've always stood behind me with everything I've ever done. And I think, like, even like my dad made a comment when I, you know, started doing more and more with Project One. He's just like, dude, at your age, 19, when I was in high school, I would have never imagined doing something like this. And when he said that, I'm like, I'm doing something right here. Yeah. And I don't believe in working that job you hate for your whole life. I don't believe in that.
Yeah, I mean, some people, that's all they know, and they're not comfortable enough with trying to explore other options.
And some people just got unlucky, you know. They grew up in that generation that's what you did, you know.
I still do it. I still have a 9 to 5, but it's not enough. So you have to start looking for other things to do to make money to support your family.
Yeah, that's saying something. You're an engineer. Like, that is saying something right there. And like what I was saying about the multiple businesses, like, I hope to own my own deep tissue massage place one day, many years down the road. I want a lot of experience, and I want to make sure that, like, I don't screw myself over here. That, you know, the supplement industry, hopefully I would love to one day start coaching, again, years down the road, a lot of experience. And, you know, just do what I love. That's the end goal here.
Hey man, if you're doing what you love, what could be better? Exactly. Right?
Yeah.
How did your parents feel about you dropping out of school?
You know, it's not the common answer. I remember it was Christmas break, and at this point, I want to bring this up because it's very important to me. My last couple weeks of it was Thanksgiving break, I believe. I told my parents, And it was my last couple weeks there. My mental health went down the drain. Like, I just felt like I wasn't doing enough. I just felt like I was failing everything and just doing terrible. I didn't like, why am I even on this earth? And, I had terrible thoughts in my head, and I'm so glad I got out of that dark place. But, and something I definitely want to bring up is that when I was in high school, I would have people tell me like, you're either going to drop out, you're going to switch your major. Because again, that major I was going for was very difficult. I finished my first semester with a 3.5. I did better in college than I did in high school. I was working at a club every week, Saturday and Friday, getting no sleep. Like, it was like 8 to 3 in the morning. And then Mondays and Wednesdays, I had an internship with WVU Football Nutrition. It was super cool. Another great opportunity. I was working I was doing bodybuilding full time.
So you were stretching yourself very thin and still getting good grades.
Oh yeah, I had so much on my plate, and I've always been like that. I like that. I like being busy, but it became too much. Again, I just was there, and I'm like, why am I even here if I'm not going to use this degree? I have another path I can go down with deep tissue work, which pays a crap ton more than exercise science. Mm-hmm. Funny, Janine, mm-hmm. Project One. I was at a demo, and she literally told me she was going for exercise science when she was in college, and she also, I believe, dropped out and was a teacher, became a teacher, and she just like, you have to get a master's, and to really get a good job, you got to go far. And school was never my thing, so I'm like, I think I always knew I was never going to stay in school, honestly, because again, I've always wanted to live that happy life of like one day moving to Florida, just affording an apartment. Again, in this generation, really expensive. And I'm like, being in college is not going to help. It's not. And I feel like a lot of people just don't realize that. Unless their parents are paying for them, they don't realize that.
That's a good point. So back to your parents. What did they say when you dropped out?
My parents were actually very happy.
Really?
They were proud of me. They said, I'm proud of you. It was a big thing. Again, I'm a risk taker. I'm like, this is a risk, and I'm going to do this because this is what I believe in. And again, the debt, just the amount of debt, and, even no hate to WVU, but even when we went to tour and we were there for their exercise science program, they're like, yeah, once you get out of this program, there's people who go to like high schools for like a strength coach, and they're making like $40K, $35K, and I'm like, my dad, again, obviously he's been working his whole life. He's just like, you're not going to survive.
That's not going to cut it.
Not at all. Yeah. And I'm like, so then, it was like, they were so happy for me. And even when I was away at school, bodybuilding, lifting started to like fail a little bit because again, I was just so much going on. Yeah. And that was I loved bodybuilding. I didn't do too much with Project One because again, I couldn't. So the things I care about the most, I couldn't do, which I think messed me up a little bit. And my parents were very proud of me, and they're happy that I found another
career path.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was never going to leave college and just like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm just going to wing it the rest of my life.
Never been my thing at all. So
you always need to have a plan.
Yeah. Which, I get, I think a lot, which kind of messes me up a lot, but I just think so much in the future, and which is good and bad. It's definitely been bad more than good sometimes, but So,
well, sounds like you made the right decision. Mm-hmm. You seem happy.
Oh yeah.
You have a clear path to your future with the massage school and your end goals of owning your own place. And
I just want to do multiple things with great people and just love it. Attack every day. That's it. Like,
it's a good attitude, and that's something that's interesting. Is being you're a younger generation than me. Mm-hmm. I always get the perception that kids your age are just looking for the easy way out.
I feel like a lot are. That's why so many people go to college.
Yeah.
4 years of partying.
Yeah.
Doesn't get better than that.
But the fact that you have, the maturity to work hard for what you want, and you don't expect it to be handed to you. No. It says a lot about you. And I'm confident that you're going to reach your goals just because of that discipline and the mindset that you have. So
your mind can go very far. If you have a great mindset, I feel like you can do amazing things. Like I remember telling Zach with Project One, I remember at maybe my second demo at Crunch Fitness McKnight, it was crazy. Like the world is crazy how these things happen. I remember telling him, we were walking to his car and I'm like, Zach, I'm going to be honest with you. A month ago, my plan for 2023 was to start working with a supplement company. And then out of nowhere, I start seeing Project One, and then he was so happy for me. He's just like, dude, that's awesome. So, yeah. I mean, I've been working since I was 15, 14, and that's all me.
Sure.
My parents, it was up to me. They didn't care what I did.
They didn't say, you need to get a job when you're, good.
Maybe when I turned 16 because of a car and stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like I've just always have been very driven, big dreams, and you got to work for it, Good things don't come easy.
Yeah. I'm glad, I hope kids your age, I say kids because you're less than half my age, but I hope kids your age, see this and listen to this, and I hope they're inspired by your determination and your drive and your inspiration and wanting to reach your dreams and your goals, because it's not going to fall into your lap.
No.
And that's why social media is such a toxic place, because all of these younger generations are seeing these influencers and they're millionaires and all they're doing is posting videos every day, or they have their own whatever and amazing followings, and they're making millions of dollars off of this, and they think they're going to be the next one to do that. It might be possible, but odds are you're gonna have to work your ass off.
Like, for example, me and Greg Rudolph are not very close. We're like mutuals within Project One, but I never said this to him. I read his story of how he did everything, and you look at him and you see like CEO and just all these great things. He was also left school. He was also a college dropout. I mean, he worked his ass off. Yeah.
So what's the theme here? You got to work for what you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Well, good, man. I'm proud of you. Yeah. Let's see what this bodybuilding's done to you. Let's arm wrestle. Oh, I made such a mess. All right. I'm going to move my microphone because I'm going to ask you a question while we do this. All right. All right. Oh my gosh. We got limp mic. All right. You can start whenever you want.
Okay.
I think Eddie's like, I feel like this is like a bear paw. All right, Dom. Go. Do you have any regrets in life?
Going to college.
That is your regret?
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
Oh, yeah, going to college.
Why?
Because I didn't need to. But again, at that point in time,
right.
I didn't know deep tissue was what I wanted in my life, and so that was definitely a huge regret in my life.
But you learned a lot from making that decision to go to college, right?
Definitely.
So it's not all bad.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm trying to think.
You don't need to think of anything, man. You answered everything. Is there anything else that you want to tell the world? Anything that you want to confront? Anything you want to get off your chest? Any questions for me? This is your opportunity.
Yeah. I feel like bodybuilders have always been looked at as just stupid meatheads, and we're not smart, and that is just not the case at all. I've learned, and when I've been in this industry for a few years now and been a part of this, is that these people I know that are into bodybuilding, they have businesses. Some of them are millionaires. Look at Jay Cutler, like multiple businesses. Again, there's even these like Dougie, like you, like any of these people, like bodybuilders are smart and people don't realize it. Like
We're just, I say we're just people
Yeah.
with, that care about fitness, doesn't mean we're
Yeah.
idiots because
Yeah.
we spend time in the gym or eat a certain way.
And I feel like also the discipline makes you like that. I think because when you're into bodybuilding, you're so driven and you're so disciplined that when you put those two things together, crazy things can happen.
I tell you what, Dom, I'm glad you said that. I only competed once. That was my turning 40 goal. So when I was 40, I competed for the very first time. I haven't since, but we'll see what happens. That 7-month prep
7 months.
7-month
Oh
prep.
my God.
was one of the most rewarding things I've ever done for myself. Outside of what I looked like, I learned so much about what I actually had inside of me, discipline-wise, the drive that I didn't know that I had as far as like reaching a goal. I've always been goal-driven, but I've also been, if it got too hard, I'd be like, yeah, that's a dumb goal. I'm going to change my goal. That was the first time that I'm like, I am not going to lose or I'm not going to fail myself. No one would have known if I missed a meal or ate a cookie, but I knew. And I knew if I was on that stage and I knew I didn't give 100%, that was going to affect me. And I didn't want to experience that. So
Yeah.
bodybuilding is a great learning experience. And
Teaches you a lot about yourself.
it's crazy. And I still am amazed that I put in the discipline that I did. It's no joke, man. Like people think that you just shoot steroids and eat chicken and you get all these muscles. No,
Yeah.
your life, your entire life revolves around that goal.
Oh yeah. I mean, I remember senior year, again, my friends, so many people just got used to it, thought I was crazy, but literally every day from first day to last day of senior year, I had an amazing science teacher who was my teacher before I went to lunch, Mr. Gates, awesome guy. He let me use his microwave for chicken and rice. And it was every day. And then I would also get Diet Turners at lunch. And that Diet Turners, man, I don't know what it was. It would hit at lunch.
Yeah.
Because again, I mean, maybe it was just a little bit sweet. I needed the sweetness. And again, the only meal I would have before that would be like my breakfast, maybe a little breakfast and protein bar right before. But yeah, no, it was intense. But something I always felt like in high school was I never really liked talking about bodybuilding or never really showed that side of me. People may have known about it because again, I got a lot bigger out of nowhere. I went from 119 freshman year. I will never forget this number, 119, and I'm currently sitting at like 180.
That's a lot, man.
That's like
And that's naturally.
that's a
Yeah. That's impressive.
that's what 59 pounds.
Yeah. That's a lot of freaking weight.
Yeah. So, and it was the most. It rewards you. Bodybuilding rewards you. You just got to put in the work. And
Yeah.
but that's the thing. It's like even like right now, I've always dressed baggy. Like I know you see. You probably know who Sam Sulik is.
Yes. Yes. Who doesn't?
He dresses big clothes because again, that was never my goal in high school. I never wanted to be a douchebag. I may have been a little bit of a douchebag to some people, which I apologize for, but I never wanted to be a douchebag and never wanted to be that like meathead. And so I always wore big clothes and, I always hid it. And even because that was never my thing. I never I used to be into impress girls when I first started. Once I got into like bodybuilding, it was for me. It was so that when I compete, I'm ready and I can like win that title.
Yeah.
Be the overall, and that you got to do a lot of work for that.
Yes. And nothing against people that wear tight clothes.
Yeah, no, I
I hate baggy clothes.
Yeah.
If I wear something baggy, I feel small.
Yeah, see, I feel bigger with.
Really?
Yeah, I feel
That's so
bigger.
crazy. It's I mean, it's
weird.
Yeah, but I used to.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, do you have any questions for me, man? Before we close out, anything final you want to say?
I guess when I turn 21, let's have some bourbon. Let's go,
Yeah, man.
Let's go to a
I'll have
bar
you
or
back
something.
over so you can legally have some with me on the episode.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you for, again, you were I feel like the guy that got me into bodybuilding, and it's crazy. I've said this before, that I met you all those years ago, and now I basically work with you with Project One. It's crazy.
Full circle.
It's crazy how the world works, man.
I mean, I'm glad that you shared that with me because you never know who you're impacting. Yeah, I know you enjoyed the workouts that we did, but I had no idea that I kind of like lit that fire under you. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
It means a lot to me.
Yeah, I mean, any essays, like college, I wrote a lot of essays, obviously, and some of them would deal with about bodybuilding, and I would, whatever I do one day, if I do something big and become someone big, hopefully, I'll never forget who helped me do that. And even like when I talk about that stuff in my essays, I always bring you up, Adam up, and Brian up, because you three have changed my life. I just feel like if I never got into bodybuilding, I don't know what I would be doing right now. I feel like it has saved my life. It saves it.
It sounds like it has.
Yeah.
And everyone's going to have that different passion that saves their life too, right?
Yeah, of course.
And
of course.
I can only hope that everybody finds that. Some people search their
don't.
entire life and never find it.
Which I'm internally grateful that, maybe it's from a young age watching my dad lift and then him teaching me about nutrition. Maybe that set the fire all those years ago, but I'm just so grateful because I never wanted to be that guy who worked a job that he hated his whole life.
Yeah.
And it's not those people's faults, they just, you need to get a job someday, and
Yeah, some people don't know what else to do.
yeah.
They figure that's their only option. So I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming, and thanks for opening up. Your passion for bodybuilding is very obvious. You spoke about fitness more than anybody else has, which is awesome. I mean, Barbells and Bourbon, right?
Yeah.
So I want you to open up about your passion.
And like to finish off, I guess, like, me being a risk taker, me being driven, I would love to, and I'm going to do it because that's just how I am. And no one's going to think it's possible, but like, I want to go to Venice Beach where bodybuilding freaking started, Franco and Arnold. But the thing is, I want to go, anybody can go, but I just want to bring a backpack. Like backpack basically to Venice, but
Live
on an airplane.
minimally. Yeah.
Yes, and that's how I feel like I'm going to grow up one day. I feel like your life can be a lot easier if you live under your standards, and I mean, I do want to, my 20s is all about traveling. I don't care about I know you have an amazing car. I don't care about the fancy cars. I just want to see the world, man. Bodybuilding can take you there. Your goals can take you there. And I want to, travel to Europe again, maybe backpack Europe. That's just, because people don't think it can happen, and it can happen.
Yeah. Sounds like you have a lot of big goals, man.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
When I first got into bodybuilding, no one believed in me. I only believed in myself. I was like, I had no disrespect to my friends, but I feel like I had friends who were like, what's he doing?
Yeah.
And I put on almost 60 pounds. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think some of that's jealousy, honestly. At that age, if you're doing something different or outside of the norm.
that's what I've always been like.
Yeah.
I've always gotten the hate for it, but it's good to get the hate. It's good to be, because people again are jealous or they're too scared to do it. But I mean, I have friends and I know people who I graduated with, and I'm like, I've never told them this, or you don't see people a lot when you leave high school, and I'm like just so freaking proud of them for starting a podcast, starting their own business, starting their own Instagram account based on what they love, because it takes guts to do that. Guts. And I've just started now posting on TikTok. When I got with Project One, I started posting that. That was scary to do because, again, everyone's just like, what are you doing? I started slowly posting bodybuilding stuff on Instagram. I'm going to start pushing a lot more out there because I feel like my Instagram it didn't show the real me. It never did. It always, I feel like it showed me as like a frat dude, and that's not me, man.
Yeah, because when I was doing research on
you saw.
and pictures, all of your pictures are frat college type pictures.
And that's not me
Yeah.
at all. Like, so and that was one of my goals in 2024 is making my account more, eventually deep tissue related, because I need to get certified, nutrition, working out, because that's the true me,
Yeah.
Drinking, it's fun, but it's not that fun for me. So,
Good, man.
yeah.
Follow your passion, dude.
Yeah.
If you're genuine and you're passionate about something, you will succeed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to put on a front and fake it through life, that's when you fail. So,
Yeah. And I mean, I remember, you probably remember this. I've DM'd you multiple times just saying, like, I don't know how I feel about this, man. I'm a little nervous. And you told me that exact same thing. If it's so big that it scares you,
it's worth it.
it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, Dom, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time. Thanks for opening up, and thanks for telling everybody things about yourself that they probably don't know.
Yeah.
And
I was very, I mean, that's why even my parents tell my parents, I'm like, you're going to hear stuff in this podcast that I've never even said to anyone. And I mean, because I've never been like that. I've never been like that. I've always been to myself, do what I love, and, 'cause I don't care what people think. I don't.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels good to open up, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, it's good because, again, I never liked that image I had of me. I feel like of the kind of frat dude thing. Like, that's just not me.
Yeah.
But that's also a little bit my fault because, I mean, again, but that's also the hard part is this: when you're in college, what am I going to post? Me in a library? Like, no. So, but yeah. So, I mean, I hope to inspire people one day. I know there's people that inspire me from Pittsburgh, like smaller accounts compared to bigger accounts that, I've never said it to them, but they really inspire me because it's just like, they're like me. They're so young and they're doing big things, and I want to do big things. And
Yeah. Oh, I guarantee you're going to inspire people, man.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
So at least one person will be inspired by watching this.
Yeah.
So you've accomplished your mission.
Yeah. Well, thank you again one more time to the Williams family for giving me the opportunity to work with Project One. It is awesome. Love it. I mean, I'm just grateful I got to meet you all those years because, I mean, again, I feel like the Lord gives you, it's just the time. It's just when it happens.
Just open certain doors for you at certain times. It's your choice if you're going to walk through it or not, right?
And that was I'm not pushing like the Lord or Jesus on anyone, but like I felt like I kind of needed that in my life because, again, I live in a generation that there's so much evil in the world, and I feel like there's always been, but now it's more because of social media. So Sam Townsend, he started to take me to Grace Life, and every time I leave there, I'm just like, yes, like
You feel complete. Yeah.
Yeah, like my dad and my mom both have had cancer. My dad's still dealing with it right now, and I would pray every day for my dad because, again, I mean, no one deserves that. I was in third grade when that happened, and she's cancer-free now, but my dad, he's been dealing with it since sophomore year, and, again, I don't think maybe close friends know about it, but again, I just, it's hard, man. It is.
Yeah. Yeah. My mom just rang the bell not long ago.
It's one of those cancers that, I don't know if there's and I hope to God one day, and and recently, actually yesterday, today's Friday, so it'll be posted Monday, but he told me, he's just like, the doctor is just like, it's working, and
Good.
yeah, I hope one day he gets to ring that bell because he deserves it. He's
Keep
done
praying,
so
man.
much for me.
Yeah. Keep praying.
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Love you, dude.
I love you too.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Barbells and Bourbon. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And Dom, what's your Project One code?
Code hack for 10% off the best supplements in the industry.
10%. All right, guys. Peace.
Awesome, man.
Good job, man.